Hey gang, everybody, Plant. Today we're back with another episode of Value Spirits. Today we're going to talk about Dewar's White Label. I purchased this particular bottle at $23.99, so $23, $24, $25. You should be able to find this most retail outlets at $25 or slightly under for a 750 milliliter, which again today's price is not too bad. A little background onto Dewar's. Dewar's was founded in 1846 by a gentleman named John Dewar's. He was a wine and spirits merchant at the time, basically liquor store. He had previously worked for an uncle who'd worked in ancillary business to the spirits. I think he was either in a cooperage or the people that produced the wood for the cooperage, but he was been involved in the business before, so he wasn't kind of going this brand new. John, like a lot of other merchants there in the mid-1800s, especially in England, were starting to blend their whiskeys. The single malts that they would purchase from Scotland, a lot of them had very intense flavors and weren't necessarily something the general marketplace would consume. So they started blending their own whiskeys to kind of smooth things out, round off some rough edges, or what have you. And John was one of the merchants that did that. He eventually brought on two of his sons, John A. and Tommy. John A. was more the nuts and bolts business guy, the day-to-day operations, the finance guy, where Tommy was the marketing man. Tommy Dewar was probably one of the first great spirits marketers at the time. He did several things which were really creative. First, he took basically a trip around the world. He hit 26 different countries where he brought cases of Dewar's along with him and would let people try it along the way, would interact with local wine and spirits merchants, kind of started setting up, had people in New York and San Francisco and Paris and Rome and Egypt, and just create a network of salespeople and introduced the world to Dewar's. And quickly after that, they started gaining traction and became the highest selling blended Scotch worldwide. He also was indirectly involved in a great bit of PR. Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate, ended up sending both Presidents Harrison and Garfield cases of Dewar's for their inauguration. Now remember, bourbons are a spirit, so an American president taking cases of Scotch created a little kind of controversy, but also created a little bit of buzz, which was great for the brand. And finally, in 1899, Tommy hired the Edison Company. Yes, that Edison, Thomas Edison, who had basically the first movie or film production company, had them produce a short little movie, which you can find today on YouTube, basically about Dewar's or about their brand. And back then, just even showing the short little movie was an event. They would have it either at a local theater, or sometimes he would just have it projected on the walls of hotels or outdoor buildings, and people would just walk by, and movies were so, think about it, in 1899, a movie, you would stop seeing anything, shown, and really created quite a bit of buzz for the brand. Now, while Tommy's adventures in marketing were going on, John and the company Dewar's were doing some other things. In 1896, they built and opened the Alberfeldy distillery. Dewar's had gotten big at the time. They wanted to start bringing some of the process in-house, so they created their own distillery. A couple years later, they created this particular brand, the White Label brand, which became their flagship brand, and it still is to this day. Also, Dewar's pioneered a concept called marrying spirits. Back then, a lot of these blended Scotches would have been just a barrel of this, barrel of that, maybe a barrel of Glenlivet, and then some grain whiskey. We're just going to throw it together and just bottle it right there, and the flavors just kind of had to work together in the bottle, and they just kind of shipped it out. What Dewar's started doing was combining all these spirits that were already barrel aged. If you look at the label, it'll say something about double aged. Well, they took all these various aged spirits, including the grain whiskey, which in Scotch, the grain whiskey is also aged. They took all these aged spirits, blended them together, then put them back in a barrel for the flavors to marry together while in the barrel, so it's considered doubled aged, which again at the time was kind of a unique concept. Today they own 5 different distilleries. Each one has a pot still. They produce a pot stilled single malt whiskey, and those 5 are the base for this blend, and then they'll source other single malts and grain whiskeys for the blend. This is a little different than other people that produce a blended Scotch whiskey. A lot of times those companies will source the single malts, but then they'll have a distillery with a column still to produce their grain whiskey. And that's their backbone for the blend, and then they'll find other single malts to kind of complete that blend. So Dewar's a little different there. As far as the history and ownership of Dewar's, like any company that's been around almost 200 years, you know, the company's changed hands over the years. Most recently in 1986, Guinness purchased the brand. They held on to it for about 11 years, and then when the combined company itself became part of what eventually we know of today as Diageo in 1997. Now, Diageo did not hold on real long to Dewar's. They sold it off to Bacardi the next year in 1998, and today Dewar's is part of the Bacardi portfolio. So it's still with Bacardi today. So that's a little background on Dewar's. Let's drink a little Dewar's. All right, nice little golden color, not real dark. Checking the labels, I didn't see any age statements, so to be called Scotch, it has to spend at least 3 years in a barrel, and that includes the grain whiskey aspect. There's probably, I'm definitely sure there's some older whiskeys in there. The grain whiskey component's probably the 3-year aspect, and then there's probably some smatterings of probably things up to probably even 12 years. I wouldn't be shocked about that, but like I said, a little lighter color. Let's hit the nose. All right, not hot on the nose. I don't pick up much peat. I do get a little wood on there. Let's give her a try. All right, there's that little bit of smoke in there. It's the second breath after the drink, you really kind of pick that smoke up. But it's a softer smoke. It's not. Some of these whiskeys, if you're not careful, especially with the peatiness and smokiness, it tastes like you put whiskey in an ashtray and then you drink the ashtray. That's not this. This tastes a little bit like if I'm drinking in a smoky bar, drinking a nice whiskey in a smoky bar, and you just kind of pick that up on the flavor just from the environment. I get that here. Nice little bit of maltiness. That's nice and smooth. Goes down easy. I've always loved Dewar's in either water or soda. I think it's a perfect, or I think it's a good bet for that. If I had a guest at my bar wanting, again, a Scotch or soda, Scotch and water, whatever, I would steer them to this. I tend to kind of go with the customary thing of like, you know, an 18-year Glenlivet or Macallan or Glencanissi, whatever. You know, those are more either on the rocks or kind of neater. Dewar's I kind of like with a little bit of water. I think it opens it up just a little bit. But just a nice, well-executed, very drinkable Scotch. You get, like I said, a little smoke to it. I think it gives it an air of sophistication, but it's not over the top. I would say if you wanted to introduce a friend to Scotch, this would not be a bad one to start off with, because they will get to experience the malt sweetness up front, which is classic for a lot of Scotches, but also the smoke in the back. It's not high proof, so it's not going to, you know, burn you. Again, I think it opens up nice with a little bit of water. But, and again, 25, 24 bucks, you know, a bottle. Tough to beat these days. Well, I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or spirits that you would like to suggest, please leave them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Well, until next time, bottoms up.